For often search for signs, signs that someone truly cares, that their heart is aligned with ours. But love, deep, unwavering love, does not shout. It whispers through actions and reveals itself in words few are willing to say. When a man deeply loves a woman, something within him changes. Yes, a woman. His words no longer serve only himself. They begin to carry weight, intention, and truth. He does not just speak to pass time. He speaks to build trust, to nurture, to connect soul to soul. In the silence between two hearts, you will feel it. And in these 7 phrases I will share with you today, you will learn to recognize it. Not in fairy tales, not in perfect moments, but in the presence of a man who has allowed his heart to open and his ego to step aside. So listen, not just with your ears, but with your awareness, because when a man deeply loves you, his words are no longer just sounds. They become sacred echoes of who he truly is. When a man begins to love deeply, something subtle but profound happens within him. His world, once shaped by personal goals and individual pursuits, begins to expand. He no longer sees himself walking alone. There is a shift in his language, and this shift is not accidental. It is the reflection of his inner transformation. The man who once said "ib" with certainty now begins to say "uis" with intention. And it is in this small change that something much greater is revealed. He may not announce that he loves you with grand gestures. Often, the deepest love speaks quiet. He starts talking about the future, and not just any future, but one that clearly includes you. He says things like, "when we go there," or "one day, I want us to." These are not promises made to impress. These are glimpses into the direction his heart is moving. In the beginning of love, words are often used to charm, to attract, or to create connection. But when love has taken root deeply within him, words take on new meaning. They become careful. They become conscious. When he begins to say, "we should travel there together," or "I imagine what our home could look like," he is not just speaking from imagination. He is revealing his emotional investment. You must listen not just to what he says, but to the feeling behind it. When a man truly sees you as part of his future, it's not just about holidays or shared hobbies. It's about merging his life with yours. He starts to ask questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Not because he is testing you, but because he is searching for alignment. He is trying to find the rhythm between your path and his, and in doing so, he is preparing to walk with you, not just beside you, but with intention, with unity. This shift may come quietly. He might not even realize it himself. One day he may say, "I was thinking about where we could live one day," and you will notice there was no hesitation, no calculation, just natural inclusion. His words begin to build something, a shared vision, a shared story, and this vision will not always be easy. Love is not without its difficulties. But when a man includes you in his long-term plans, it means he's ready to go through those challenges with you. He sees your presence not as a temporary comfort, but as a necessary foundation. He stops thinking in terms of escape or freedom and begins thinking in terms of partnership and stability. Sometimes he will speak of goals, his career, his dreams, and he will ask how they fit with yours. He may ask, "What would it be like to raise a family together?" or "Would you be happy living somewhere quieter, away from the noise?" These questions are not just romantic fantasies. They are signals that he is trying to harmonize 2 lives into 1 life, 2 dreams into a shared future. And this is important. When a man loves deeply, he does not want to control. He wants to align. His words begin to reflect consideration. "How would you feel if we did this together?" This is not possession. It is presence. This is a man who sees value not just in the woman in front of him, but in the life they can create together. It is easy to be misled by words spoken in the early spark of connection. Many people say things they do not truly mean. But a man who is in the presence of deep love speaks less often and with more weight. He begins to speak like a builder, placing each word like a brick in a foundation. He may not always be poetic, but he is sincere. He may not say, "I love you" 1,000 times, but he will say, "We are going to get through this when things are hard," and that is where the depth truly lives. So listen not just for declarations of love, but for signs of integration. When he says "we," when he includes you in his thoughts, when he imagines a life that revolves not just around him, but around both of you, this is love taking form in the real world. Not just emotion, but direction. Not just connection, but commitment. When his language begins to carry you forward with him, step by step, choice by choice, that is when you know love is no longer just a feeling. It is a path he is choosing to walk with you by his side. And so when you hear him speak of the future, listen with your heart. Because in those simple, subtle phrases, you will hear the truth that you are no longer just someone he loves. You are someone he is building a life with. Now let us look deeper, because when love grows even more, the heart begins to reveal itself in ways even words cannot hide. There is a certain quiet strength in a man. Often from a young age, he is taught to hold it together, to be firm, to protect rather than reveal. Emotions are seen as weakness. Vulnerability is discouraged. And so many men grow up learning how to hide their fears behind silence, their pain behind a smile, and their doubts behind action. But when a man begins to love deeply, truly, deeply, something inside him begins to shift. The walls that once stood so tall around his heart start to soften. He no longer wants to be strong alone. He wants to be seen not just as a protector, but as a human being. This is not something he plans. It is not strategic. It simply happens because love, when it's real, disarms even the most guarded heart. And so the man who once only spoke about external things begins to turn inward. He starts to say things like, "I'm scared," or "I'm not sure what to do," or "I've never felt this way before." These may seem like small admissions, but they are enormous. They are evidence that he trusts you, not just with his time or affection, but with his truth. To share vulnerability is to risk rejection. It is to say, "Here is the part of me I usually hide. Will you still stay?" And when a man reaches this point, it means something deep has rooted itself in his heart. He is no longer performing, he is revealing. He no longer feels the need to impress. He simply wants to connect. You may hear him say, "I need you." Then for a man who has spent most of his life trying to need no one, this is one of the most honest things he can say. It does not mean dependency. It means he finds peace in your presence. It means that with you, he can finally exhale. There is a sacred kind of strength in admitting that someone matters this much, and he may not always use perfect words. Vulnerability is not always poetic. Sometimes it comes out raw, unshaped. He might say, "I don't know what's wrong with me lately," or "I've been thinking too much." In these moments, what he's really saying is, "I trust you enough to let you see me when I don't have it all together." That trust is not given easily. It is the result of a love that feels safe enough to be real. And just as he begins to open up, he will also begin to listen more deeply to you. His empathy will expand. He will want to know how you feel, not just on the surface, but at the core. He will ask questions like, "Are you really okay?" And he will mean it. His concern is not just about solving problems. It is about being present with your emotions, just as you are with his. This mutual space, where both of you can lay down your burdens and be fully human, that is where true intimacy begins. Often, people mistake masculinity for stoicism, for silence. But there is a deeper masculinity that lives in truth. A man who loves deeply is no longer afraid of appearing weak. He begins to understand that vulnerability is not weakness. It is clarity. It is honesty. And it is through that honesty that love becomes stronger. There may be a moment, quiet and unexpected, where he turns to you and says something like, "I feel like I can tell you anything." That moment is not about what he tells you. It is about what it took for him to reach that place. It is about what you have created together, a bond strong enough to hold even his most fragile truths. Do not take these words lightly. They are rare and they are not spoken to everyone. If a man begins to open his heart and speak from this place, it means you are not just part of his life. You are part of his inner world. You are the one he turns to when the world grows too heavy. The one who can see him not just as strong, but as whole. And remember, when a man says, "I feel safe with you," it is not about physical safety. It is about emotional sanctuary. It means he has found in you a stillness, a softness, a space where he can rest his armor. In that moment, your presence becomes medicine. Your love becomes a place of return. So listen carefully when he starts to speak from within. Be still when his voice trembles or his eyes search for the right words. These are not signs of uncertainty. They are signs of truth. And in those moments, you are witnessing something sacred. The unfolding of a heart that has chosen to trust to feel and to love without defenses. Because when a man truly loves you, he no longer hides behind silence. He begins to speak, not to impress you, but to be seen by you. When a man is deeply in love, he doesn't just admire how you look. He begins to admire who you are. He sees into the layers of your being, and what he reflects back to you is not surface-level praise. It is recognition. You will notice it in the way he speaks to you, in the way his words shift from compliments to affirmations. He doesn't simply say, "Oh, beautiful." He says, "I admire your strength," or "The way your mind works is incredible." These are not words spoken to flatter. They are spoken from a place of reverence. When love grows deeper, the man sees more than what is visible. He becomes aware of the details, how you carry yourself through difficulty, how you speak when no one is listening, how you remain kind in moments where others would turn away. And when he begins to speak on these things, it's because he can't help but notice them. To him, they are not small, they are everything. He begins to say things like, "I learn from you," or "You inspire me." These words come from a place of humility, not performance. They show that he no longer sees you as someone separate from his own growth, but as someone who plays a role in his becoming. This is the power of love. It transforms how he views you, and in doing so, it transforms how he views himself. The man who is falling deeply in love begins to see value, not just in what you do for him, but in who you are without effort. He starts to appreciate your presence even in silence. He might say, "Just being around you makes me feel more grounded," or "You bring out the best in me." In those words, there is deep truth. It means your energy has become essential to his balance. You are no longer someone he simply enjoys. You are someone he honors, often in early stages of love. People try to impress. They focus on proving themselves or on highlighting what they think the other wants to hear. But when love matures, there is a return to sincerity. He speaks what is real. He begins to say things that are unfiltered, things that don't come from a script. He might pause in the middle of a conversation, look at you, and say, "I really respect the way you handled that," or "I don't think I've ever met someone who sees the world the way you do." These are not words that come from obligation. They come from clarity. When a man loves deeply, he begins to see you, not just through the eyes of emotion, but through the eyes of truth. He sees your strength and your softness, your wisdom and your playfulness, your resilience and your tenderness, and he speaks them into life. Not to make you feel good, but because he genuinely feels them. And when a man starts affirming your value, it also means he is stepping outside of his ego. He is no longer the center of his own world. Your growth, your happiness, your light, these things matter to him now. He wants to reflect your beauty back to you, not because he's trying to keep you, but because he wants you to know it, to feel it in your bones. That the more you remember who you are, the deeper your bond becomes. This is not the same as flattery. Flattery is shallow, it seeks a reaction. But affirmation is quiet and sure, it sees the soul. When he tells you, "You make me want to be a better man," it is not a performance, it is an awakening. It means something in your presence calls him to rise, to grow, to meet you where you stand. He may also start to mirror your values. He begins to notice what matters to you: kindness, integrity, honesty, and he aligns himself with those things more intentionally, not to impress you, but because your essence is beginning to shape his. This is one of the most beautiful signs of deep love, when two people do not just connect emotionally, but elevate one another through presence alone. So listen to how he speaks to you when you're not trying to be anything. When you are simply yourself, unfiltered, unguarded, and he looks at you and says, "You fandes me," understand the depth of that moment. It is not about perfection. It is about recognition. He sees your essence and he finds something sacred in it. Because when a man loves deeply, his words become mirrors, showing you the beauty, strength, and light you might sometimes forget you hold. When a man loves deeply, his sense of awareness sharpens, not just for himself, but for the one he loves. He begins to notice small shifts in your mood, quiet pauses in your tone, subtle changes in your energy. And without being asked, he reaches out with words that show he is tuned into you. You will hear him say things like, "Are you okay?" or "What's on your mind?" Not out of routine, not out of obligation, but because your well-being has become important to him in a way that feels almost instinctual. This kind of care is not loud or dramatic. It is not about solving every problem. It's about presence. When love reaches depth, it becomes gentle, attentive, and calm. A man may not always know exactly what to do, but his words will start to reflect his desire to be there, to understand, to carry even a small piece of your burden. How can I help? Or what do you need right now? These are simple questions, yet they carry the weight of love that is grounded and real. He begins to pay attention to what makes you tense, what makes you light up, what drains you, what fills you, and his words begin to follow that awareness. He might say, "You've been quiet today? Is something bothering you?" Or, "You don't have to carry everything alone, you know." In those moments, he is not just being kind. He is opening a door that says, "I'm here," not just when things are easy, but also when they are heavy. When a man speaks in this way, it means he is no longer operating from a surface level of connection. He is stepping into the role of a partner, not just a lover. He is showing that your emotional world matters to him. And more than that, he is showing you that he wants to meet you there, wherever you are. Sometimes he won't have the answers. Sometimes he will not know what words to say. But you will hear sincerity in his voice when he says, "I wish I could take the pain away," or "I hate seeing you go through this." And even when he cannot fix it, the fact that he feels it with you, that he stays present with you in it, is what transforms his words into a deeper form of love. This kind of love does not rush. It does not interrupt. It waits. It listens. And it speaks not to escape discomfort, but to hold space for it. A man who speaks gently in the face of your sorrow, who reassures without trying to control, is showing you that his love is rooted in respect. He is not trying to pull you out of your emotions. He is offering to sit beside you in them. And this presence extends into the way he supports your dreams, your goals, and your voice. You will begin to hear him say things like, "I believe in you," or "You've got this," and "I'm behind you." These are not motivational slogans. They are reflections of his faith in your strength. They come from a place of pride, not in the way that seeks to own you, but in the way that celebrates you. He begins to understand that love is not only expressed in moments of passion or joy, it is also spoken through reassurance, through calm, through the everyday ways he holds you emotionally. When he checks in with you, not just to know what's happening, but to know how you feel, it is because your inner world matters to him. And it is in this emotional attentiveness that love finds its true ground. He might start remembering the little things you've said. He brings up a worry you mentioned days ago. He asks about your family, your friend who's struggling, the meeting you were anxious about. These are not random moments of politeness. They are signs of emotional presence. They are signs that he listens, that he holds your life in his mind even when you're not speaking. And sometimes his words will be simple. Just, "I'm here. Just take your time. Just, you don't have to go through this by yourself." These are the quiet sentences that build safety, that anchor love into something lasting. And they may not be shouted, but they are never forgotten. Yeah, because when a man loves deeply, he no longer seeks just connection. He seeks to nurture, to reassure, and to protect in a way that allows you to breathe easier. Not because he has all the answers, but because he is willing to stay with you through all the questions. That is why when you hear his words softening, when you hear him asking with genuine concern, when his voice becomes a shelter instead of a storm, you will know. You are no longer just loved, you are cared for.